Howdy folks, never want to pass up a chance to make a video, hit the R button, and been driving Valerie for a while here. I'm hungry, want to go to breakfast, but I need to do a valve adjustment, and you're not supposed to do that when the engine is warm or hot, so it's best to do it first thing in the morning when you got a cold engine. And it's fairly simple. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there posted stuff on it already, but I'm not looking for it, and I just figured for those that are following along my stuff, might entice some of you water pumper guys to try air cooled. It's pretty simple, and it's one of the reasons why I like this old car. So let's get started. It's always good. Remember to be safe. I'm going to lift the back of the car up just because I'm a fat old man, but there's other things you could do. You could drive it up on something. The engine's right there in the back, easy to get to. And use jack stands, be safe, all that sort of stuff. And let's get started. Now if we're going to do valve adjustments on each cylinder, you want to make sure that each cylinder is at the top of its stroke and the valve are closed, so that cylinder is on top dead center ready to fire. Easiest way I do that is just look at my distributor, and there's a line. This is a 007 or 009, excuse me, distributor, and there's a little line right here, but after you've done it a few times you'll know, where number 1 is, and we're past number 1. We're actually moving on to number 4. Firing order is printed right on the side of the block, 1432, and so on the pulley, make sure we got this in the frame here. Okay, on the pulley, there's a little timing mark, and right off the bat, I forgot my wrench to turn the engine over. Even though it's just a little baby, you still need a wrench. Some people use the nut on the alternator, but I don't know. I get slippage from that, and so I don't. I just go off the pulley, and although you should probably use a socket or a box end, unlike everybody else, I don't always have all those bigger wrenches. I don't have full sets sometimes. I just mostly have the stuff I need. So I'm using a big crescent wrench. And little comment on these adjustable wrenches. When you're using a wrench, this is the weak side, obviously, and this is the strong side. And I'll see guys a lot of times, they'll put the wrench on this and they're pulling this way. Well, you're putting pressure on this side. I have seen them broke, and it's just best to do things the right way. We're going to go clockwise, which is the direction of rotation. Most of the books that you see out there that talk about doing the valve adjustments, they keep it simple: 1, 2, 3, 4. I always do mine the other way. I start at cylinder 4, and on the left side, that way I turn my pulley crankshaft clockwise, and I'm not loosening the bolt here. So I'm looking for my timing mark. I don't have it, real bright or anything like that, and I might have been close to it then. Matter of fact, and here I do just exactly started to do what I told you not to do. Where are you? I'm feeling for there's a little indentation on the pulley here. Where are you? Alright, it's right there. So that's probably, okay, so I need to have it at the bottom. I felt the little mark. Should have known that. Like I said, I'm hungry. Need some coffee and some breakfast here. Okay, so I've got it at the bottom. I'm at number 4, and you just proceed that way. The timing mark's at the bottom. The next time we're going to stop for the next cylinder, it'll be on top, bottom, top, and as you go around, that's what you'll get. So let's just move to the next section here. Alrighty, I got Froggy just offered to hold the camera today, so don't be scared. I'm just going to set you down on Froggy's back here. Now you stay still, Froggy. Don't be jumping around. Don't be jumping around. Alright, let's see how this works out. So I got some a piece of cardboard, because these old bones don't like to lay on that concrete flat, especially when it's cold. So basically I have a favorite screwdriver, I have my feeler gauge, and I got my 13mm, and I've got it facing at number 4. And we were out playing in the mud yesterday a little bit, so you just unsnap the bail, and that's what keeps tension on your valve cover gasket. And it's probably, you're gonna lose a little bit. And I don't, yep, here it comes. I don't permatex my gaskets into my valve cover. Some people do. I don't know, I just don't. And get it out of the way so dirt won't get in there. And that feels like my exhaust is tightened up a little bit, but that's why we're checking it. You know, we probably got oh heck, we don't even have 200 miles on this thing. Haven't even run a tank of gas. And I can't hardly see with that camera there. And I'm trying to make all this work out. Sand's hung. Yep, I can get the 6,000ths in there, and I can get 6,000ths on that one. That felt nice and snug, just the way I like it. So we're gonna go to the next cylinder forward to that, which is number 3. So I'm just gonna get my wrench on the crankshaft, bring her around. I'm real happy about that, because there's always this talk about these cams going flat, or at least there was, I don't know. And if your cam is going flat, you're going to have clearance. You're just going to, you know, always having to be tightening. And so now we're going to go to number 3. Well, intake feels good. Exhaust might be a little tight. Actually, that's a little bit loose. Interesting. And so what I'm going to do is just, you know, I kind of like to know where I'm at if I do make changes, just for future comparisons. So I'm going to go, that was a 6,000ths feeler gauge. You're pretty much safe to go 6 and 6 all the time. You can go a little bit more on your exhaust. I'm going to try to slide. Now, a 4 is starting to go in there. So it didn't close up, but it does have just a smidget more than I'd like. And just loosen your lock nut. And I'm going to turn it a little bit. You know, you can get more scientific about this. And use a proper size wrench. Man, these nuts get beat up so bad. I'm sure people have used like crescent wrenches or adjustable wrenches or pliers or something. This one I'm going to tighten just a smidge. Don't have to go overboard with your locking those things down, because I don't know, personally, I've never really had one come loose. And I've got this one feeler gauge in my set. They have special tools with feeler gauges on them, but I'm just figuring the common man adjustment, what the average guy like me has probably got in his garage, and instead of paying a mechanic to do this, why not check it out yourself? Okay, so alright, I've got the exhaust where I want it, and I snugged up that intake just a scotch, and I think, See how, I don't know if you can't feel it, but it should drag. I can't think of something for comparison to tell you, but you should have just a little bit of drag, but you're not forcing it. Okay, so loosen my nut, and I'm just going to go a little bit more, not even a flat, you know, I mean, you could, hopefully you could see that. I was just barely turning it, and that's getting better. I think one more. You can be as anal as you want. It really doesn't make all that much difference. This is the intake. You could make it 4 thousandths if you want, and you know, we've had quite a few heat and cool cycles on this thing from going back and forth to work, so your cylinders and things rearranged. That's the big difference on a Volkswagen compared to like a V8, I think, is the fact that everything is moving around, everything is loose, and it's simple. And if you have to do repairs, you know, if you mess up a cylinder, you can slap a new set of pistons and cylinders on here, lickety split, where with well, that probably almost a flat from where I started originally. So that could show a sign of wear. So we're just going to make a mental note of that. We'll see if it's in the same thing on the other side, because on a Volkswagen they share the camshaft lobe. It does double duty. All right, so that looks that's pretty much done. And like I said, this is a new gasket, and just got it. You can kind of feel it up and down and to the side, and just take it. Alrighty, wipe that off, and we'll go on to the other side. If I can get up from underneath here, might just take a nap while I'm down there. Look for any signs of other leaks. So it looks like we're on par for the course. Alright, we'll get you set up on the other side. Alright, now we're on the passenger side of the car. I advanced my distributor to number 2 cylinder, which is to the rear. It goes 1, 2, and on the other side it's 3, 4. So 2 and 4 are to the rear of the car, and 1 and 3 are to the front of the car. So now this car got poked in the back here and seems to have affected the body. Is pushed in a little bit, so sometimes it's a little tricky to get the valve cover on and off without rubbing and scraping. Put your valve cover out of the way where dirt won't fall into it. And okay, we're on 2, and there's my feeler gauge right there. This side's easier for me because I'm right-handed. Oh yeah, baby, that feels nice. Better to have them loose than tight. If you have them tight, then you could burn a valve. And this is not what I would call too tight, but I'm going to adjust it just because. Alright, a lot of times it's easy just to stick your screwdriver through it and leave it in there. And I know it doesn't take much pressure at all. Basically, I'm just going to loosen it up and hold it there while I snug the nut up. And I stress snug the nut up. These nuts are torn up from previous people doing this. Now, how often should you check your valves? Probably every oil change, or if you suspect something unusual going on. And I want to feel along the bottom here for broken clips. It looks like everything's in, and yeah, I'm really liking liking this a lot. Huh. Liking this a lot. Alright, now I'm going to advance it to the next cylinder. Which will be the last one. And then I get to go to breakfast here. Boy, compression's coming up, I can tell you that much. That makes me happy. Alright, there's number one. The pulley mark is right at the seam of the case, right in the center of the case. That's a little loose, but I'm okay. Now on the other side, this was the one that we had a gap on it. And feels a little loose here too. So maybe we had an issue during break-in because the camshaft and the lifters hardened during that first 20 minutes of operation. Let's see, the other one we went almost a full flat. And let's see where we end up with this side. And it still feels loose. I remember we had an old Ford, like a 52 Ford, that's what I learned to drive in. And we used to adjust the valves hot. There'd be oil splashing all over. It was a straight 6. So everything was right on top and easy to get to. Well, yep. I don't like that because I know I had them pretty close, so I may have gotten something bad on that cam lobe, but you know, it's too soon to tell. And it's running fine, so okay, that's tight right there. That's getting tight. Now, I know that I've got it snug. I'm going to make a mental note of that. If you're the type that likes to take notes, leave it in the glove box or something, and the next time you check your valves, then you'll want to keep an eye on that cylinder. So just pop your valve cover back on, and it's a done deal. Don't forget to put your distributor cap back on. I've done that before, and tried to start it, wondered why. So that should take care of it. Thanks for watching. Easy Jeezy out.